Can you build a multi-million dollar digital marketing agency without burnout and while raising kids? Welcome back. Because on this podcast, we're going to be talking about that and more. And we also bring you expert interviews and actionable tips to help you master marketing without the overwhelm. If that sounds like your vibe, make sure you subscribe to the podcast or to YouTube. Today, I am so excited to be chatting with Kym Asana. Kym is a multi-million dollar business owner, digital marketing expert, and powerhouse behind Always On Digital, a woman-owned agency driving high-impact campaigns for brands like Infamil and also Johnston and Murphy. With over 20 years of experience, Kym made the bold move from her high-pressure New York City advertising job to founding a business on her own terms. Today, she leads a thriving agency built on the value of flexibility, family, and fierce creativity, empowering other talented working parents to blend ambition with balance. Welcome, Kym. That is literally how I feel.
Thank you, Jen. It's so nice to be here with you.
I can't wait to dive in. So let's start with the one question I pretty much ask every guest. Tell me the windy road that led to what you're doing today, because most people do not have a direct line to the position that they're in right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started out my path in advertising actually started as an after school job. I went to high school in the city and one of my friends said, "Hey, would you like to come work at this radio rep firm?" I started working there after school. And as I was, just being an assistant and stepping into sales, I noticed that they had these women doing job shares. And so they were, and we're talking like late 90s. And these moms didn't have laptops or cell phones. They would each come in 3 days a week, and they were really effective as salespeople, as well as just, from a cost perspective and a performance perspective. And so I always admired that. Obviously, I was far away from even having kids or getting married or any of that. I was, 16 years old at the time, but I was fascinated by it. And that stuck with me as part of my journey in my career, where I always thought, wow, there's this little thing that's back there that's possible. And I always tried to implement it as much as I could in every role I was in. So once I started having kids, I felt, oh, you should be able to work from home. And I did work for one company that was based in Santa Barbara that did allow me to work from home because they were a startup and they didn't have anybody in New York. And then eventually they opened an office. But once you get a taste of that work from home, you kind of think like, how do I get that back? And so no matter where I went, I always had those two things in the back of my mind, the ability to have some type of job share with someone and the ability to work from home when you needed to. And this was really before I faced all the challenges of motherhood, of having multiple kids and, daycare drop-offs and pickups. And part of my journey was literally, my husband and I used to drive into work together, commute into the city, and were times where I would say, "Okay, get out of the car and get an Uber, and you're gonna go to this kid's daycare, and I'm gonna go to this one because we don't have time before they close to get there because, just logistically getting out of work and trying this." So, I went from starting in radio to moving into the digital world in a startup, but even though you were in a new media, it was very old school in the way that companies were run. And so
Yeah.
the path did take a lot of turns, starting from radio, going into a startup, working from home, then going full on in the office, having kids. I was able to get a work from home 1 day a week at one point. As I grew in my career and became a manager, but I saw that other people around me weren't afforded those same opportunities.
Yeah.
And that's when I really started to push about starting my own thing. I had gone through an acquisition with a company, and they took away any opportunity for work from home. They used to have tidbits here and there, and I said, "We're losing some of the best talent that we have
Yes.
because of this." And most of them are women. And this is really sad that you have women that just can't work because they have kids. Like, that's unfair. You went to college, you got a degree, you have a passion or desire to do something. And I totally respect people that want to be stay-at-home parents. Absolutely. And this doesn't diminish this. But if you had a plan to have a career and do something, you shouldn't have to stop that because you wanna have children. It shouldn't be one or the other. And I felt like there has to be this in between. And so I ended up asking our CEO at the time, I said, "You help all these people start businesses. Maybe you could do the same for me. And since we went through this acquisition, you're trying to sunset all this business that could be a perfect fit for us. So, could this work?" And it took about 6 months. Honestly, what ended up happening was they said, "Hold on, you manage a big team of people. You can't just like up and leave. Give us some time." And I said,
Oh,
"Okay,
whoa.
no
Case
problem."
in point, you will be losing this female. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
I mean,
exactly. And so what ended up happening is they had a massive layoff and they put me as part of it. Um, they were doing the right thing by me in their minds in the way they did it. The way it was communicated, not so much, because they felt like, "Oh, we're giving you an 8-week head start by giving you severance and all of this," which sounds nice, except that they didn't tell me. So I went through the layoff as if I'm just getting laid off with no
thinking it
communication.
was probably because of you having these conversations.
Right, and they're
I mean, it could
they
be,
you know,
right?
they look at you and say, "Sure, yeah, we'll do that," and then you're, like, stabbed in the back, basically, and,
Totally
you
how I
know
would take it.
yes, and I would have probably reacted differently other than swiping my arm across the desk and throwing everything out. Maybe I would have had a different reaction had they told me ahead of time, but they didn't. I don't know the reason why you wouldn't just say, "Hey, look, we're doing this," because the
Yeah.
next day you called me and said, "So now we can do this," and I'm like, "Why didn't you tell me that yesterday?" I joke, I was like, the clip from I think it's Adam Sandler in The Wedding Singer where she's like, "I don't wanna marry you,"
Love
and he's
that
like,
movie.
"Information you could have told me yesterday," like, literally felt like saying that to them on the phone when they were telling me like, "Oh, we're gonna start this thing." Like, I was crying last night. I was
Oh
not sure
my
what I was gonna
god,
do with my
yes.
life and, thinking about my mortgage and my kids, and then I
Period.
started looking for jobs. And the one thing is when you have a massive layoff and everyone knows, sometimes recruiters reach out automatically and, "Do you want a global position?" I just felt like that all feels the opposite of what I was trying to do. Like, I'm trying to get away. I don't like the idea of global. That sounds like travel, and I'm not looking for that in my life right now, so no thank you. But I appreciate it. And so that's sort of how it ended up, and then Always on Digital was born from that, partly from fear and having to make it work, number 1. I had the idea, but sometimes people, when they start something, they're ready to jump off that diving board. I was pushed, and it's okay. It's the best thing that could have happened to me at this point in my life. So yeah, and that's the story of how it started, but luckily I had started to talk to people ahead of time about this. Like I had
Oh,
this idea
yeah.
and communicate, why couldn't there be job shares? Because I've tried implementing it so many times. A lot of us were the same age and we started having kids, and some of these sales people were women that, maybe on the West Coast and I was East Coast, like, "We can tag team. Look what this would look like. You're gonna get more
Oh,
hours out of
you
us."
cover wider
Yes.
hours,
This is
right?
a great way we could be teams, and it was like, "No," because from their perspective, we're not losing 2 good sales reps over this, and
Yeah.
if you condense them, would you get less? Everybody's afraid to try something. Instead of trying and then maybe, "Okay, it's not working, let's peel back," at least give the option to try to implement something different, and that flexibility just wasn't there in almost any place I was at.
And so your team today is all female, I'm assuming. Are they all moms or
So they're not all female anymore.
okay. Yeah.
We do have a lot of men as well. We have mostly women still, though. We have a
Yeah.
lot of moms, and I love to hire people that I've worked with before if possible.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
so, obviously it's easier. We're mainly remote. We do have an office that's kind of like a side story, but we're mainly remote. And I always joke that I prey on the mom that just had her second kid, right? So you have
Oh,
your second.
that's the sweet spot.
It is.
The second kid. It's not worth the cost of daycare for 2 kids versus your salary. That's when that tipping point, or at least a different I have
Yeah.
4. So that's when
Same.
that tipping point happened with me too.
Yes, and that's when you're also it's harder to go back to work logistically. What if your kids are in 2 different places? And as all those things happen, I just felt like that's the age. The time and the second
Yes.
kid. And I usually say like, "Oh, your maternity leave is ending. How are you feeling? Like, you really wanna go back to all that?" It's big joke, but that is what I do. I stalk
But
you on your
that's how you
Facebook.
recruit people.
Yeah, exactly. I like all your baby posts, and then I message you on the side right after. So,
So, so smart.
yeah, not
I
afraid to
know
admit it.
Yeah, I know Always On Digital works with major brands like Enfamil and Johnson and Murphy. What do you think sets your agency apart when pitching or executing high-level campaigns?
So, what makes a difference for us is our expertise. So, the beauty of the way our setup is that we can hire people that have been in the business in the industry for 20 years. So, our team is actually very seasoned. No
That's
one really has
beautiful.
I wouldn't say anybody has any less than 12 to 15 years experience on the team.
Beautiful.
So folks really know what they're doing. They've worked with advertisers that are in retail and other channels that they can really, help. So like in Infomil, we've experienced, buying in store versus buying online, like those types of campaigns, same thing with
Yes.
other brick and mortar. So they have this expertise, and that's really what keeps the clients in addition to the customer service. So because yes, we try to be flexible with our hours, we also try to work as a team. So maybe
Yes.
somebody is shift working, going back to that earlier model of the job share, someone has to only can work 9 to 12 because their kids are in daycare during that time, and then they wanna spend the rest of the day with the kids. Someone else will come in
Mhm.
at 12 and take over, till the afternoon, and there's a
Yes.
lot of this almost like leapfrogging it and passing the baton where our clients think somebody's always working. And I would not necessarily say, "Oh, go name your company Always on Digital," because sometimes people do take it literally. But we do try to be
That's
always
funny.
on as much as possible. Our campaigns are, but we do weekend
Mhm.
checks, we do night checks, we do holiday checks because we understand the critical times for
Yes.
campaigns and for advertisers. So they get this level of customer service that you don't always get elsewhere. And I looked and took what I didn't like the most at different places. What did I like the best and what did I like the least? And certain things ticked me off as I saw younger people coming into the workforce, like where a client would ask for a report by a certain time. And they said, "Well, we don't get into the office till 9. So we won't be able to get it
Oh!
to you till like 10:30." And I'm like, we never say no to a client.
I always say, never say no, find a way to say yes, and it may be out of the box, but find a way that makes sense.
Absolutely, because that's what keeps these clients. Some of our clients have been with us since day one. Some of them have followed us from other companies. One of our advertisers has been with us for 15 years. So being able to have that relationship, but that's built on trust and really continuing on with, great customer service.
Yeah. You built your business designed for work-life balance, if you
Mhm.
will, which I think it's an oxymoron to say
Yes.
that because there is really no balance. But how do you structure your team and operations to support that flexibility without sacrificing quality? You touched on it a little bit now by having that sort of job share kind of
Mhm.
situation. Is that the same for like all of your team, or dive in a little deeper on that?
So we have some full-time employees that are not based on a team structure, and that's mainly in the sales team. So the sales team
Yes,
got revenue numbers. Really, as a salesperson, anybody who's been in sales, they get it. If you don't hit your number, it doesn't work. So, it's
correct.
pretty simple, and we
Yeah.
let people kind of figure that out for themselves. So, we like, you hope you hire an adult and you can trust them and they can make the right decisions to make sure that they can do the things to hit their number. So, we allow that flexibility and offer, generous vacation policies and understand about 6 days with kids. I mean, there's a lot of team calls where there's a kid
Yeah.
in the background, and we get it because we're in the same boat.
That's so you have that sort of more casual
Definitely.
internally.
It's
Yeah,
internally, it's casual enough. I mean, work gets done at the end of the day, and the
for
kids that are
sure.
part of our family, my family and our employees' family, they kinda get it. The kids know.
Oh,
The
yeah.
kids know who we are, they're part of
Mhm.
conversations, like and once the novelty of like, "Oh, mom's on a call," wears off, they really don't care anymore, and
No.
they end up just sitting in the background. So, it's almost like once you let them see it, they're like, "Oh, okay, that's boring,"
Yeah,
and
it was real exciting the first time, then it's, like, real
not a
boring
need to
after that.
interrupt
They'd
now.
rather play a game on their iPad or something.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly, like, I'm getting free time on, I could probably get on YouTube
Yep.
without anyone knowing, and
Ex
they just do that,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
totally that's the way they are set up, but then everybody else kind of just gives us the schedule when they start of what works for them,
Yeah.
and we have somebody that does reporting for us and does our campaign checks 4 times a week. She No one sees her. She's like, "Hey, this is under hey guys, do you know about this?" And she
Under
catches
it's not
things.
working like it should or
Exactly.
whatever. Yeah.
She does it on her schedule and for what works for her. The kids are in school, and she's able to still volunteer at school, be there for sick days,
That's
be there for plays,
amazing.
just letting people kind of do what they're great at without micromanaging them. But there's a lot of trust that goes into that. It's not
Well,
perfect.
she's proven
Yes,
too, right?
exactly.
Like if that wasn't the case, she wouldn't be working for you anymore.
Yeah,
So that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And the fact that you have seasoned people is probably really exciting for the companies that you're helping because they feel like they're in better hands rather
yeah,
than having one person with all the knowledge and a team of all these newbies who are doing sort of all of the work. Do you know what I mean? That don't
absolutely.
have that skill.
And
Yeah.
you can understand the pain points that we hear in the industry where people feel like they're going to these large companies and they're getting lost and they're paying fees and they don't have experts.
Talking to
Whereas,
different people every day,
yeah,
like, every time they call, there's no real customer help, service of any kind. I hear that all over, sadly.
yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Many women, female service providers, which is, like, our
Yeah.
audience, really struggle with scaling.
Mhm.
So, what are some key systems or maybe even mindsets that help you to grow into a seven-figure agency? Because have found that over the years, as you're scaling, you'll know you're scaling because shit breaks.
Yeah.
Like something breaks, and you're like, okay, we have to find a different way to go about that.
Absolutely. So I will start with mindset first. I read a book, Scale or Fail by Allison Masson. So it was a good reminder. And I've heard her speak a few times being part of a woman owned business. I've been to these conferences where you hear these other women speak about things that you need to do. And sometimes it's not that we don't know we need to do those things, it's that you need somebody to tell you, again, you need to do those things and push you out of your comfort zone. And there were definitely some key things that were said to me, which I'll share, that had changed my mind. So, one, we knew
Ooh.
I had to take myself out of the business a little bit more to
That's where
grow
I'm
the
at right
business.
now, and I'm not good with it.
And it's hard. It's hard because you worry about the second piece, which is, will the quality go down if you remove yourself? And
Mhm.
if someone came to you to buy the business tomorrow, what are they buying? Are they buying you or are they buying the business? And those are the types of, mindset changes that we kind
Yeah.
of have to say, I know it's my baby. I know I built it, but I have to trust the process and the people around me to carry on the mission of whatever it is and do the right thing or sell this product or whatever it is and trust those people. So that was one key thing. And then the other thing was just like a logistical thing that like clicked is if you're going to hire a salesperson for $120,000 a year or any employee, right? I'll just use that number because easy to
Yeah.
divide.
Round number.
You're not putting that money out now. You're paying month to month. So now you're saying, okay, whatever the percentage is per month you're paying, and maybe we'll commit to 3 months. So do you have 3 months of that money? 3 months of $120,000 available? Do you have, $30,000 that you have set aside to hire this person? And then if they don't, return that $30,000 to you in sales within 3 months, then you know to move on. And the worst thing is, which is still a big thing, but you lost $30,000. You didn't lose $120,000. And taking that risk, hoping you make the right hire the first time so you're not in that situation. But we've absolutely made wrong hires. But
I mean,
we,
I think that that's part of like interviewing any kind
yeah,
of situation where you're hiring somebody to work for you. You can do the absolute best job and stuff will happen. I mean, I always feel like if I have any red flags or any pauses, that means we need another interview at a
hmm,
different time and a different day with someone else
yes,
because something is off, but I want to give them that opportunity. But every single time we hired somebody like that, it didn't work.
yeah. And it's hard
Settings.
if you're doing it remotely and you're not there in person, and I'm not saying you wanna touch and feel them.
You shouldn't have to micromanage anyway. The point of you hiring is that they should be an adult and do the job.
Yes, exactly, exactly, and I found people that are very young that can be an adult, and I found people that were older and couldn't be an adult, so it's not even always an age
No, it's not
thing
always.
either.
Mhm.
It's about their experience, their maturity. I love asking questions when hiring people and seeing I'm a very positive person, so if I ask them, "How was the traffic?" and they're like, "Oh, it was the worst," or whatever, it's like, that's my red flag immediately because they're gonna have a problem with everything throughout, their career with me.
Yes. And that's the biggest thing in hiring is hiring a positive person.
Mhm.
I time and time again, I will not even work with clients anymore
Yeah.
that are not positive or at least not negative.
Mhm. No, I agree because they're gonna call you with a problem for everything, and you can't it'll eat up your whole business, at that point.
Any key systems or things that have like helped when you were getting to that stage or in that stage?
So we started with the free systems like
Okay.
Trello or, or
Yep.
free versions,
Yep.
Zoho for, tracking like our clients and CRM.
Mhm.
And we've upgraded some of them to paid versions. Now we're using Slack, which is not as reasonably priced as I would like. It's probably a different bone to pick with, the ability for small businesses to be able to access some of these great platforms but like the discounted rate for growing businesses where
Yeah.
I feel like there should be something there. So if anyone's
Should be.
listening, knows somebody.
Sh seriously, I know. I've tried them all. I've tried them all.
Yeah, and same, we did Monday, then we went to Trello, and so now we're on Slack, and we've done a better job with channels in Slack where we
Yeah,
have our processes laid out. So we have
yeah,
like an RFP channel, and you put your RFP in there and all the campaign details, and then everyone can come in and
smart.
put their input in there, and you're adding people, you are tagging
Yeah,
them so that they know what their responsibility is in this,
yeah.
trying to get it done. So some of these systems have really helped us with process, but I would say every 2 to 3 months, what could we do better? Or we're hiring now.
Yes,
What do we need to do differently? Here and that's unfortunately where you see when systems are broken is when you grow and you just hope that you catch it faster than it happens. None of us are Nostradamus to say, "Oh, we know this is gonna happen." Sometimes you don't see it, but that really has changed things for us. And then the other thing we did is we invested in a dashboard, a platform for ourselves for reporting
that's my next step.
because we saw that I love following Jesse Eitzler, Sarah
Yes,
Brinkley's husband,
yes. Sarah's husband,
and
a
I
friend of mine,
and
there's friends with them. Yeah,
oh, everything he says always, like, clicks for me where he went
resonates.
he and he bought the tickets to the Yankee Stadium, front row tickets, and he couldn't afford them, but he did it and he committed and he went in with Jay-Z, like, he made the leap for something that was gonna change his business, and that's the mindset we took with investing in a dashboard because we needed to streamline reporting, it was critical, we run on way too many platforms, and it's a time suck for our team, and it was costing us more money, so in the
Hours and
long
hours
run
and hours of labor
yes.
versus automating. I am with you there. Sadly, I have not found a great dashboard for Pinterest. So I have to maybe have somebody build it, which is going to be costly, but at some point I need to because it's a time suck.
It is. It's really challenging and there is a point of return, once you
Yeah.
can get there, but the upfront cost of it and commitment and then commitment to continuing to keep it updated and especially when you're APIing in and all of that, it is a challenge. Those are some of the systems we found. I cannot say we have a great accounting system. we went, we've gone through bookkeepers a few times. We had to bring somebody in house at one point. I have a son in college, and I was like, "You need to study accounting."
What are some of the biggest marketing mistakes that you see businesses making and maybe a suggestion for it?
So I think there are people that are not always flexible where, it's like they start running, oh, it's running fast or I'm not getting enough leads. Like I want to cancel this. And it's like you have to give things time. People don't just walk into a store. or go online and buy something immediately. You do have those customers, but that is not the general consumer. And people forget to be in the seat of their consumer when they make these decisions, and you have to be flexible. It's like the number one thing, like, we're here to help you, and I'm sure same thing for you. You're there to help them, but
Yeah.
they have to be willing to be flexible to, like, listen to what you have to say. You've been doing this for a while. There's a reason why you're doing it for a while and good at it. And, you have to be flexible with what you think should work versus listening to someone else.
Brilliant answer. One of the best answers. I've asked that question a couple times over the years. Best answer
Oh,
award.
thanks.
Love it. As a mom of 4, like myself,
Mm,
and a CEO, how do you manage the mental load, and what boundaries or routines have helped you to sort of stay focused? I mean, it sounds like your kids are, like, older now, not in babies,
mhm.
but still, how?
So, fun fact, I had 3 kids when I started the business and got pregnant immediately after starting the business within 3
Of
months.
course.
So, I had a baby through the process, and yes, now the youngest one is 8, so we're in better shape than we were
Yeah.
initially, but having boundaries is tough. It's not easy, but I try to set times where I am focused on the kids and I am times where I'm focused on work and as clear
Mhm.
cut as I can be. So my kids understand now, like, hey, it's a work call, or if I'm on I still have to
Yeah.
lock the door. It's not like they don't know not
No.
to come in to ask for a
So
ride
your
or
biggest
something.
tip is to lock the office door?
Lock the office door, number 1. Get locks. Most important thing. Have locks
That's amazing.
everywhere. Does the post-it on the door that says "on a call"? It doesn't
On
work.
a call?
No,
No.
that doesn't work. Tried that one. Locks. But yeah, because 'cause they'll still come in and stand in front of my laptop and be like, "Are you gonna be
My
on
my
long?" Yeah,
25-year-old just came in on a call before this call
yeah,
and stood there staring at me, and I'm having a conversation, and I am not looking at her
yeah.
because she knows if I give her an inch, she's gonna take that
Yes,
mile.
they will. And so sometimes the boundaries are simple as me saying, "Oh, we have a family decision to make. So, should I quit my job and then just stay home and drive you guys places and full close? And we could do that and we'll move to a smaller place and forget about the vacations and everything else. We can do that. Help me make the decision. Or should I keep my job and you understand when I say I have to work, I work and you respect that. So let me know. We'll
And you
make the
get the
decision together."
vacations and this
Yeah,
house and all the things that
exactly.
you like and want, like those shoes.
Yes.
Shoes were a big deal in our
Oh,
house.
I have middle school boys, so if we can just talk about the fact that they're buying dad shoes now that cost $140, like, the ugliest shoes. They are the cutest.
Ugly. Ugly.
And I'm like, "You can't have it unless I have a coupon because I am not spending this money on these shoes."
Crazy.
It is a challenge. So now they're always like, "Do you have a coupon?" Or, "Does dad have a veterans discount or something?" It's funny all the stuff they throw out there now knowing that,
You're teaching them to negotiate also, and I think that's a skill every person needs in this world, if I'm being honest.
No, it's true. Actually, my 8th grader is an excellent negotiator and negotiates better than anyone and it's a joke among our friends. We were at a baseball tournament and I bought a hat for my 8-year-old and it was like $40 at the tournament.
Of
And it was like
course.
a special
Oh, yes.
baseballism hat or whatever.
2026 or
Yeah,
whatever,
it was
a
bubble
year,
gum. It
yeah,
had
it's a
bubble
whole
gum on
thing.
it. It's the whole
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
And then my 8th grader comes out and he's like, "Yeah, got the kids discount." I'm like, "Kids discount? What are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, got $5 off from the lady." And I said, "How are you getting $5 off the hats?" He's telling other parents, people are going in, "Is there a kids discount?" "No, the hat." He goes in the next day, buys another hat, walks out, "Yep, got a discount again." I said, "How are you getting discounts
You
on
need
all
to
these
put him
things?"
to work.
He gets discounts everywhere to the point where I was buying something, he calls me and tells me, "Make sure you tell him you want 2 for 40. Don't pay more than $20 for each one." I didn't, and I'm like, "I know, thank
That's
you." Right. So
hilarious.
he's a little hustler. He tells people, "I only have $5. I can't pay $7 for that." And they say, "Okay."
My kids are 37 down to 23,
Oh,
and one thing that they all joke about is the fact that they know all the business side of things, and so they're always, like, telling their friends, "Oh, no, you need to do this or you need to do that." They're like, "How do you know?" "Well, my mom did it." Like,
Yeah,
it's a thing. They're like, "We could totally go into business now because we know. We
yeah,
know that it's not as great as it also seems
yes.
sometimes
They
too."
everyone
Like
sees the whole
Mhm.
and that's what I think making it a family affair has helped
Yes.
with boundaries because they understand when it's not okay to be part of the conversation and when it is. And there's times where I'm doing a pickup and I say I have to pull over the side of the road because I have to type this out, or now we have so much talk
Yes.
text, it's easier. But the
Yeah.
kids will follow up and ask, like, "So what happened with that?" Like,
Did
"Oh,
you get that
did
deal or
you
did
get
yeah,
that
oh, yeah.
deal? Oh,
Yes.
how much was the deal? Did you and then how much do you keep of that?" And then that's where I'm like, "Okay, none ya." And they're like, "What?" None ya,
Yeah,
that's it. It's not
exactly,
your business
because
now.
they don't understand the whole taxes and all the and
No, they
paying
don't. And they're
employees and
like,
all
"Oh,
the
so
other
we get
things.
to keep
They just assume
$1,000,000."
that's in your pocket,
Yeah.
which
No.
it's not. So what 3 things have helped you to grow your business? And it could be tools, advice, anything.
So mentorship has helped me the most. That was
Yes.
the first thing, having a mentor. And I recognize that you don't always need the mentor that you where you want to go. So if you want to be, a $10 million company, you don't need a mentor that runs a $10 million company. You may need a mentor that runs $1 million company or
Yeah.
$2 million company, because there are so many steps between A to Z that you need to take that.
Completely different business, yeah.
Exactly. And what they're teaching you, from where your end goal is, they may not give you the critical steps you need to get to to your next tier.
To
Um,
your next tier because
yeah,
they're so far above it. Yeah, yeah, I
exactly.
agree.
So I feel like mentorship was probably the number one thing that has helped me. Being remote, I also have a lot of connections and stay in touch with those connections and recognize that part of doing business is just talking to people with nothing coming
Yes.
out of it, maybe. And
Yes, not just sales calls, but actual
Mhm.
chats with people. How is your business? Just that conversation. So important, and a lot of people don't carve out some time for that. I have like 2 days a month where I do those types of calls so that
Yeah.
everyone who's scheduling, they will pick from one of those
Mhm.
couple days if they want it like this month. Because I think it's important, but I also don't want to have them every single day.
Yes. No, and you can't, because then you, like, realize I didn't get any work done. But
That's the problem. Yeah.
yes. And
Yeah.
sometimes you're not even getting a benefit from it. Maybe you're benefiting somebody else, but
Correct.
when you put good into the world, good comes back.
Yes.
And we have been very fortunate to get so much of our business from referrals and other people,
Yes.
and just those conversations help. But at the same time, I've been at conferences where I was talking to this gentleman and he's telling me his wife really wants to get into tech and she doesn't know what to do and she doesn't have the education. And then I was like, "Oh, I just was at a booth where the lady trains you." And so I was like, "Hold on." I literally grabbed this guy that I just met and I'm like, "Come with me. We're going to go to this booth here and meet this lady because you guys should talk." Like, I got nothing out of that, but that
No, but
is
they remember you because you made that happen, that connection. I call it, "I got a guy," although
yeah,
I wanna change it to, "I got a girl." That is important, like, I have a whole list of all my chats, so I can sort by the business and be able to tell somebody, "Oh, you needed it? Okay, I've got 3 people." It's just copy and paste because I keep that list over the years. So, that's
I need to
important.
borrow that. I'm going to write that down because I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's
Um,
because I my brain, I just have too much in my brain,
yeah.
and I can't think of it in the moment, and the time that I'm gonna spend looking for it, it was worth me it's just a simple little Google spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Just has everybody's name, anytime I have a call, it automatically gets added to that list, so I don't have to worry about it, which is
Yeah.
kinda nice.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like you said, what goes around comes around. It's putting good in the world, and we can all be successful. It's not, oh, I'm successful, so that person can't be, or they're successful, so I can't
No,
be. There's so much
forget
out
about
there.
competition. Yeah, it's community over competition, always.
Absolutely. And, even from a motherhood standpoint, when I worked in the city, I would get a call, my oldest, oh, he took the wrong bus home. And I would have to call a neighbor, and I was new to the neighborhood. And there were moms that had older kids, like, oh, don't worry, we'll take your kid. And I was mortified. But now I understand I can offer that same thing to someone else. And I
Yes.
see where they're like, "Oh, I'm so embarrassed." I'm like, "Don't." Like, I've been waiting for this day. I wanna help somebody else
Yeah,
because
this is my
this
turn
is it. Like,
because
I know what they felt, and it feels good to help people, and I love
yes.
it, and no, your kid can come
Mhm.
over, and I will take him from the bus. Don't worry, because I
Yes.
know what the sweating of worrying about, like,
Oh, can you
the panic or being in a meeting and someone saying your kid has a fever or whatever, like,
oh my god, those
know those
calls, and
feelings.
then you're like, "How do I tell my boss?" Like, I
Yeah.
remember those calls and that stress. It was horrible. Alright, before we get to the gift that you're sharing with our
Mhm.
audience, tell everyone about the services you provide in case anyone listening is like, "You know what? I really need Kim's help."
Yeah, absolutely. So we offer advertising solutions. We mainly focus on execution, but we do offer strategy and we do across all channels. So everything from traditional media, think outdoor billboards, print, to digital, where we work on social media. So your Facebook, Meta, Instagram, LinkedIn, so all the social channels, search, as well as typical like display banners, what you would see on regular websites. We do all of that. And we work with brands as well as agencies. So sometimes there are, smaller
Great.
agencies that may need help. They don't have the full staff, and we do
Yeah.
short or learn long-term partnerships. So maybe there's like a maternity leave replacement or something where we can help fill the gap as much as possible.
Yes. And do you do? Because 'cause I'm only organic. Do you do ads, I'm assuming, in your company?
So we are actually the opposite. So we're all paid.
You're
So
all paid
we're
and
all
I'm
paid.
all
So we're
organic,
all
so
organic.
I will definitely have referrals for you then.
And vice versa. Because
Great,
I
that's
think,
great.
those are two different worlds. Same thing with even search, like there's organic and then there's paid. And we're always open to talking to people before they make a commitment. I always say that I'm the worst
Yeah.
salesperson because I'll tell you, like, maybe you shouldn't spend your money yet. Like, try to get as much as you can out
Yeah.
of, one channel or one thing before
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
take
yeah,
the leap
yeah.
to something
And
else.
ads always work better if you already have the presence too. So
Yes.
like once you get this organic up, so I always tell my clients, I don't do ads, but you do need to get it on for Pinterest in
Yes.
particular. You let's do the work. Like your ads, at least on Pinterest, will be way more successful if you already are doing the work.
Yes.
Like just doing ads on Pinterest and not pinning it all is not going to help. It's
Yes.
just not going to help. So amazing. Okay, so
Absolutely.
tell us what the freebie is.
So we have a marketing guide for 2026 featuring 6 channels where you can put your money and some of the little tips and tricks for using those channels.
Yay.
So
Oh, I'm excited for that too. Kim, thank you so much for your valuable advice and your time today because time is money. But and everyone out there, if you guys heard anything that really helped motivate you or make some decisions or write down some to-dos like I did, make sure that you go ahead and leave us a review because our podcast reviews are like the lifeblood of that. So we would appreciate it. Now go out there and do something good for your business, like snagging Kim's gift, but make sure that you put some time on your calendar next week to actually review that document. I can't tell you how many times I've downloaded freebies and they literally just sit in my email. So make sure you write it down to take action because your business isn't going to grow just by listening to a podcast or watching a YouTube video. All right, thanks.
thank you.